Hey, it is Friday, August 4th. Can you believe it? 2023, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on the West Coast. I am Brannon Beliso. This is Success Never Sleeps. We as a collective, predominantly martial arts school owners, but small business owners are joining us from all over the world. We have them as far as Australia, Canada, Germany, Switzerland, United Kingdom. And as a collective, we try to figure out this thing called life. I'm very passionate about my work-life balance. I'm very passionate about living from purpose and being happy, even on the hardest of days. Yesterday, I taught 5 hours, right? And I was ready to go. I had an amazing day. I went out to dinner after with a friend. And that type of mindset, I think if you really, truly do what you love, then you never work a day in your life. And to be able to truly know your purpose, that you're impacting children's lives, that you're helping provide a career and a meaningful life for your team. How can you grow tired of that? No matter what scale it's on, whether you're in a park and rec, you have one location or you have multiple locations, right? It really is the act of service and what goes along with that. So out of that was born this show, Success Never Sleeps, where I share with you new thinking, disruptive thinking, a different way. But when the day's done, what it's designed to do is to get you to think about what works for you. As I always say, live what? Your best life. Not mine, not somebody else's, not what society says, not what your parents say, but truly, if you are living your best life, then organically you're going to be happier. And it's so infectious and it spreads like wildfire. So let's thank our sponsors. I love my sponsors. We have none other than Tusa. They provide the uniforms for the Olympians in Taekwondo, and they're now branched into martial arts and judo, and martial arts, karate, judo, and other avenues. They just sent me some samples for a new chest protector that'll go very well with the rest of their gear. So I hope to be influencing that in the very, very near future. Market Muscles, Stephen Reinstein and the gang out there. If you don't have Market Muscles, you need Market Muscles. I think they're on the cutting edge because, again, Stephen is a person of purpose. He loves what he does, and that's huge. I remember when they went to version 3 and they revamped everybody's website. It was a 2-year project, 20 web designers, and they didn't charge anybody a cent, right? It was their investment into you and the relationship that they value so, so much. My studio, you need a CRM system. If you don't have one, please get it together, right? If you're still doing things with Rolodex cards for attendance and you're doing, things like Excel spreadsheets, you gotta knock it off. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. When people tell me that, I'm just like, you do what? Right? And for me, it's not even a if anymore. It's just synonymous with today's world of AI and all the rest. You need a great CRM system, and none other than my Studio 2 and the gang. I love them with all my heart. Kids Love Life Skills. If you notice, I can't wait to release them. We're redoing all of our coloring sheets, and that was intentional. We were working with a different artist. I love her artwork, her lines, everything she does is so much more defined. But more than that, we wanted to be relevant to today's times. So diversity, including different ethnic races that are very visible in the coloring sheets, spiritual diversity, of course, preferences. And we will be mindful of that. I really thought long and hard. We did the new family one, and I chose to put a gay couple in it. With a child. And somebody bent my ear a little bit about that. And I said, well, okay, I understand that's your belief. And I want to be empathetic and respect that. So we did a version that was traditional. So you now have that choice at the minimum. And I love giving people the power of choice. I think one of the most empowering things in life is having that choice. And so you'll see as you look at our new coloring sheets, not only are they drawn better and really define the life skill that it represents, be it focus, confidence, discipline, it truly does represent the diverse culture and world that we're currently living in. So check them out because they'll be coming out shortly. And then LC Accounting, my sister, I hope you're feeling better. My sister, Letitia, keeps me right. She freaking keeps me right. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing. You need somebody to keep you right. And she does that. All right, let's say hello to some people here. Marco, who do we have? Bob Poole is here. Karth, how are you today, man? How's it going? I see a Facebook user. Who's that? Rising above to be my best. Resilient martial arts. There you are. And as you come aboard, say hi. Tell us now where you're tuning in from. That'd be a really good thing. And those of you watching, I invite you to come out to It's Time Live Balance. That's going to be November 11th through 14th, right here in Millbrae, California, which is 5 minutes from San Francisco Airport. I've created a very well-rounded, balanced areas that I believe you need to work on as a small business owner, as a martial arts school owner. So Saturday will be all Dave Kovar. You get to observe classes with me narrating in real time. Dave Kovar is going to do 4 hours of instructors training in the afternoon. Sunday is all business for you small business owners that may not own martial arts schools. Come Sunday, all business. And then Monday, of course, personal development. We're out there in the woods. Silent meditations, mind mapping, journaling, vision questing, planning our 2024. And then Tuesday, Sam On will be here for 3 hours. I work very closely with Sam. And recently, you might have seen my post that I endorsed Sam. It took 4 years of cultivating that relationship. I don't give people a thumbs up very easily. I want to make sure the trust in the relationship is strong. So Sam will be there as well. And Adam Lodi, he's with Dojo Launch. We're rebranding them to Kin. I got to work with them with my wisdom program, my executive mentoring program, and I've grown to love these kids. I call them kids. They're between, I think, like 19 and 24. What they're doing with Facebook marketing and what they're doing is amazing. But it was all born out of the love of their parents' business failing during the pandemic. He went in there and learned that so they could rebuild their parents' business. They're up to 2 schools now with about 500 students. So data's data. I know he doubled our enrollment in May and June from what we did a year ago without digital marketing. So you want to be there for that. Thanks, Marco. Make sure to put that down into the link so everybody can get signed up. And I think we have $200 off right now for the first 10 spots. We only take 20 school owners for 4 days. It's not one of these big free-for-alls at $99 to attend the event, an extra $50 for your team off. None of that. It's a very focused, quality event. And I don't say that to downgrade the other ones. I'm just saying this is really special. So 20 of you will make that choice. 20 of you will make that investment to spend 4 days here for It's Time Live Balance. Cool? Do that now and you can save $200 off for the first 10 people for the 4-day experience. And so I'm very, very proud of that. And as you come aboard, please tell me hello. Where are you tuning in from? I want to make sure everybody said, there you go. Thank you so much. So what's going on? Well, the grading process, and that's what today is all about, right? The ultimate grading process. It first was kind of mixed emotions for me because growing up in the martial arts, I never had to pay a belt testing fee, right? Because my dad was my teacher and my dad never charged belt testing fees. It was really weird when I decided to start doing my research and collecting my data on how different people graded and what was the whole scenario, what was the experience they created for their students and the families. And it was just very challenging. I never felt well for myself personally charging a belt testing fee. Right? My kids go to school every day. Nobody charges me extra money when they have a test at school or anything like that. So I found that very odd. And of course, growing up in a culture where that never existed, I found it very odd. And as I began to dig deeper into the whole grading process, I learned that some schools have an accumulative belt testing process. So your first belt is $20, your next belt is $50, the next one, so on, so on. So by the time you test for black belt, I do believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that some schools charge up to $500 for their student black belt. And for me, that just never made sense. I live from a learn to earn culture where people are learning to earn things. And what I witnessed myself, because of course, not knowing anything, at the time I implemented belt testing fees, they were nominal, $25, $35. But the thing was, the perception of nickel and diming came to the forefront. Right. Every time we had belt testing, I could see the look in people's faces, the humming, the hawing. I could see that no matter how we sliced and diced, no matter what type of, wrapping and bow we slapped on it, there was always people just kind of going, okay, another test. Remember, some people out there, believe it or not, are testing every 8 weeks, So you're always collecting that money. And I know people look at it as an additional revenue stream. It's built-in sales. I get that. I get it on a sales level. I don't get it at a heart level. I don't get it at a Buddha level. I don't get it at a cultural level. So in our schools, we do not charge belt testing fees. So do think about that. Okay, I really want you to think about that. Now, when we first dropped those belt testing fees, we simply rolled it into our monthly tuition, right? What's a belt? $5 now or something. So all I'm really paying is for the staff to test them out. And now we do all of our testing in class. So is there additional money spent on payroll for bell testing? No. All we're really spending money on is printing a certificate, which I lease Toshiba printers. So I'm paying like, I don't know, 11 cents a copy for a color copy, and the bell. So for $5.20, because there's no additional hours on my team, we're promoting people. Okay, so please, I wanted to begin with that as a pre-frame, because when I go to Wikipedia and I see things like McDojo, go to it right now, Marco. What does it say at Wikipedia about a McDojo? Do that for me. And as you come aboard, say hi, folks. I love to give people shout outs. I love to give people plugs. Tell me who you are, the name of your school, and where you're tuning in from. It's always a cool day. It's always a cool day. You guys like my haircut? I know I normally wear my beanie, huh? Yeah, that's because I had bedhead. I wake up in the morning, I got bedhead. But I figured I would show off my new haircut. Pretty cool? I think so. I think so. So say hi. And if you can find that information, Marco, just give me the definition of a McDojo at Wikipedia. What does it say? You guys like that? My coffee cup from Team Martial Arts. This is a brand that I rebranded. A school that I rebranded was Taylor Martial Arts, and we rebranded it to Team Martial Arts, a very purpose-driven, culture-driven school. Kodiak Taekwondo. Edmonton, Alberta, from Canada. Who are you? Tell me your name, please. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Kodiak Taekwondo. I can't see because it just says Facebook user. There's no name. And hey, are you going to share this? Everybody share this live broadcast. We want to get as many people aboard as we share our grading process. So first thing is, we do not charge bell testing fees. Now that goes a little deeper. I'm sure you can all relate to this. How many times, and even though now we have, my studio, you can place it as an event, people can pay in advance. How many times? Dwayne Homewood. Hey, Dwayne, welcome, sir, all the way from Canada. Dwayne, grateful to have you here, sir. And so we've all had this experience, right? Testing's over and you want to promote this kid, but the parent hasn't paid the bell testing fee. Anybody with me on this? Come on, put it in the comments. Let me know. And that awkward moment of freaking walking up to that parent going, hey, your child's finished testing, but there's a belt fee due. Can you come up and take care of it? My team hated it. It was not the Disney experience. It was really funky and nobody liked it. So I had to look at that too. Why is my team so reluctant to act upon that, right? We earn it. It's a service. We're administering this bell testing. Why, right? And so that was a big aha moment for me. If my team didn't like it, it created an awkward moment with the parent. And, we even had parents sometimes, tell me if you've ran into this one, where they go, no, we're not going to test this time. Who's ever had that one? And that was really weird too. Like, why would you not want a bell test? Your child is, earned it and they're progressing through the ranks and they'll move up to the next belt level with their team. Roy, what's happening? Roy Maltese from Miami. And so that was a trip. That was a real trip, right? Real trip. So we decided to eliminate bell testing fees. We think culturally it creates a much better vibe, because then the other one, and I know you've all experienced this, is a parent who pays for bell testing and believes their kid should automatically pass that test, right? So there's three things. One, if you go to Wikipedia, you got to find it for me, Marco, where they say McDojos, nickel and dime people. McDojos are black belt factories, right? Look out for that. Number two, it was such an awkward moment to try to collect bell testing fees from people when testing was done and they hadn't paid for it. And number three was when they would tell you, we're simply not going to bell test this time. All of those were indications to me we needed to get rid of those bell testing fees. And I can say culturally, our black belt retention's higher. Culturally, people feel they've earned that belt. They didn't simply pay for it. Cool? We with that? All right. So now, hey, Letitia, we were talking about you. Uh-oh. Everybody, Letitia, we were talking about it, right? Roy, this will be another subject. Term versus whole life insurance. Term versus whole life. Off the subject, I know whole life is more expensive, but you can get some money back from it. Term, it's a lower cost and it terms out. I'm in a position now of wealth where I'm questioning, do I need either? Right? Do I really need either? When I got the policy 15 years ago, I wasn't quite at this point in wealth. So it made sense if I died tomorrow that my house would get paid for, my wife would be okay. So think about that, Roy. Maybe that's a subject we can have you on the show. And Roy can help all the small business owners out there know what they really need in relation to insurance. Okay, getting back to bell testing. So we are a paperless, listen to me, we are a paperless grading system. What? You know what it was like back in the day issuing paperwork? I know we have my studio now, we can do it as an event, but do you know what it was like to sit there and issue paperwork at that time? We had one location and 500 students. What a nightmare. What a freaking nightmare. And then updating that in the system every time? Not anymore. So follow me. We do 6 stripes over 3 months. Okay? So it's divided up. There's a learn week and there's an earn week. So 1 week you're learning the curriculum for the stripe you want to earn. Next week you're earning it. That system makes it very, very, very clear to parents. It's posted up, learning week, yellow stripe 7. Everybody knows when we're learning. Everybody knows when we're earning. It's very clear. So as far as awarding stripes, administering that curriculum for my team and staff training, it never changes. It never changes. Every January, we're teaching yellow stripe 13. It doesn't change. And there's a stripe for level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Fundamentally, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Okay? Even at black belt, first degree, second degree, it follows the same format. There's a learn week and there's an earn week. And that type of routine really gives parents clarity on what their kids should be practicing at home. They're not practicing 3 or 4 different things. I don't know why people do that. You should do 1 stripe and finish it instead of kind of working on 3 stripes simultaneously. You with me? Okay. So at the end of 3 months, we now have 6 stripes on their belt, 6 different colored stripes, and they could be numbered. But those 6 different colored stripes represent curriculum, sparring curriculum, self-defense, a punching exercise, a blocking set, and a kata. We love our katas. In Kempo Karate, we love our katas. But we keep just the core key dances to preserve the legacy of the system, and everything else is always evolving. We're getting ready to revamp our curriculum again, which is going to be very challenging because we have curriculum videos, and we're going to do them white through 4th degree black belt. So it's a huge undertaking, but one that I personally will take on myself. And so the neat thing about me teaching again through the pandemic and now, I'm so in tune with what works and what doesn't work. And of course, you know me, the disruptor, the new thinker, I've invented so many new teaching methods. And I love curriculum design. It's one of the things I'm very passionate about. I've worked with BJJ schools. I've worked with Shotokan schools. I've worked with Taekwondo schools. I love curriculum design. Why? It is the heart and soul of the product we deliver. And if you can design this really great curriculum and you can empower a team to administer it, it's a better experience for the user. In this case, our friends and family, or you might call them students or members. So at the end of 3 months, what do we have? 6 different colored stripes on your belt. You with me? 6 different colored stripes. Now, for us, the 4th month of that cycle, and this is important, follow me, January, February, March. Then we come into April. Now, people will say to me, well, that's a long time. Why do you test for a whole month? Because April has spring break. And they're different for different kids. So it's like 2 weeks are gone. So we use those weeks to, number 1, review. Number 2, do makeup stripes. And number 3, we're testing in class. So that's super important for us, okay? Stay with me. So at any given point, we don't have to look into some software system to know where this child is in their progress of 3 months. We simply look at their belt. Now, if they forgot their belt that day, we give them the stripe on a piece of paper. They take it home and put it on their belt. So we can visibly look at anybody's belt and have a conversation with a parent when they say, my kid's not progressing. Well, we're actually on the 4th stripe of the cycle and they have 3 of them. They simply haven't earned the 4th one. So we have that right there in real time at our fingertips. So the striping system is real important. If you don't have one, get one and stop using black electrical tape. How do we got freaking electrical tape on this belt? But when they're color coded and that we can have a clearer, more confident conversation when we share that information with parents. Cool, especially if it's a 16-year-old black belt or a 17-year-old assistant instructor. Now, when we come into belt testing, that's made very clear. We have 1 month of review, makeup stripes, and belt testing. Everything is done in class. We don't have a special day, any of those things. We do it all in class. Okay, so follow me. We don't issue paperwork. I'm going to tell you why. At the end of any belt testing cycle, we go into my studio and say we update all the white belts to yellow belts. Right away, we take inventory, we print the new certificate for 4 months out, we get the belts, and then we take the certificate, the diploma, we wrap it around the belt with a couple of rubber bands. And that's how we promote them. Just like a high school diploma, when it comes down to in class, when we're promoting the kids, we hand them the belt, we shake their hand, you take that social media picture. We don't tie belts on kids anymore. We don't do that, right? It's very time consuming, especially in a given class. You might have 25, 30 kids all being promoted at the same time. But with 2 instructors, we can graduate 30 kids in about 3 minutes because we're just handing them a belt, announcing their name, picture, and they're off. Okay? So that's been revolutionary. We don't have to sit there and scramble. And I saw it the other day at Facebook, somebody was scrambling for a belt because they got the wrong sizes. We have belts way in advance. And because we're such a big school with 950 students, roughly 800 of them are martial arts students, the rest are kickboxers and after school, that's a lot of belts. That's a lot of freaking belts, right? So we want to prepare them in advance. So say we finish a belt testing cycle, month 1 of the new cycle. We take care of all of level 1 belts and diplomas. Month 2 of that cycle, all of year 2 and 3 get done. Month 3 of that cycle, level 4 and any missing belts we might have. You with me? Okay. Now, at the end of this grading process, somebody said, well, what if they don't graduate? What if they don't get their next belt? Well, at the end of a review, makeup, stripe, and testing month, you will have a basket with maybe 10 to 20 belts. Those kids didn't test. They were on vacation. But what it allows you to do visually is mobilize. How do we get them caught up, right? What do we need to do to get them caught up? Private lessons, yada, yada, yada. That's what I love about that. It's working backwards, reverse engineering. Make sense? See, but we're in a different position. We can afford all those belts in advance and keep them. Now, if the kid doesn't, quits in that cycle, whatever, guess what? We just reuse the belt and throw out the diploma. So it's very systematic for the team to manage that workload. And right now, I looked in Millbury the other day. All the belts are sitting in baskets, ready to go. And the next week or two, we'll be putting them out on a table. We grab and go. Okay? So, no paper because we don't collect fees, right? Just at the end of that cycle, we go in and do mass updates. Yellow belt, anything we're doing, we can do a mass update. And that's what's cool about that. Then guess what? We do a mass update, look at the basket, and whoever's still sitting in that basket, we go back in and fix them in my studio. When you're working with that many students, it's better to do a mass update and then double back. You with me? Okay, take a deep breath. Any questions? Put them in there. I know this can be daunting. All right, so now we start review and makeup stripes and belt testing month. We have a Sharpie. We all have Sharpies. And at the end of whenever they complete a stripe, when they're done testing, we simply sign the belt on the stripe. And right now, because we are in testing again, it's August. And the reason August is a great time to test, back to school, last minute vacations, super important. Then our last grading will be in December, right? People go away for the holidays, all that. You don't get a full month. And we're closed for a week in December. So people get really twisted. They say, what? You do a whole month of belt testing? It is not a whole month. It is not a whole month. Ricardo, do you print every single certificate or do you fill the students' information? No, we have Toshiba printers that we have leased, Ricardo, and it's much cheaper. It's only like 11 cents a copy. It just looks so much better. I know what it's like to get a bunch of certificates mass produced and then you just fill in their name and the date and sign it. I don't think it looks good, sir. And that's just us. We want a better experience. And then my signature is it's stamped on. And I believe it's affixed there now. When you print a certificate, my signature's there. So yeah, but at least it looks better than writing it in. And that was really our goal with that, Ricardo. Okay. So if you look at our grading system right now, a bunch of people have stripes signed. And somewhere by week 2 or 3 of this cycle, people will start getting promoted. But see, we can simply look at their belt and sign a stripe, right? And we can talk to the parent. Well, because that happens during, well, we've missed a couple of weeks because of vacation, or they were sick, or because of spring break, or this or that. What's going to happen now? Well, looking at their belt, I see they have stripe 1, stripe 3, and stripe 6. So they're missing stripe 2 and stripe 4 and stripe 5. We're going to cover that in this month, and they'll be able to make it up, earn that stripe, test out on it, and we believe by the end of the month, they will have their new belt. So it's a conversation that truly empowers the team. And when I designed it, that's what it was based upon. I didn't want this team to have to break rank, go look at an iPad, dig up their stuff here. And inconsistent that can be, we even suffer through that, to update. It's kind of like inventory in a major retail store. Yeah, it says you got 2 of them here. Oh, no, I don't know why they said that. We don't have any of it. So I find there's a lot of room for error when you're going back and forth between pen to paper to a software, and all of that. Or even if you just use a software. Again, the visual inspection of somebody's belt gives us the confidence to talk to a parent to tell them where their child is at in the 3-month cycle of earning 6 stripes. It also tells us during belt testing, review, and makeup stripes where they are in that given month. So we can give an honest assessment to the parent of where their child is and what it will take to graduate. Cool. Question, Marco. Our teams love this system of testing and promotion. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And people say, what do you do? I say, that's what we do. That's how simple it is. Right? So follow me. During the 3-month cycle, there's a learn week and there's an earn week. In a perfect world, at the end of 3 months, you have 6 stripes on your belt. You come to week 1 of testing, reviewing, and makeup stripes, you're either getting a new stripe put on your belt because you missed it, right? But you got to come back and earn it. We double back at the end of the month. We're pretty much done with testing by 2 weeks in. That's our gig, because we know spring break is at the end of April. We know in August, we go back to school towards the end of August. We know in December, we're closed for a week in the last 2 weeks, and people are gone on holiday vacation. So it's really our goal to get people promoted in those 2 weeks. Then someone said, well, what do you do with the kid who doesn't go anywhere, that stays there for the whole month? Well, that's a great question. Then they become a leader. So they will lead the class. This is why Johnny earned his belt. You can do it with a low stance like Johnny, and Johnny will earn a leader badge, a black belt badge. Again, as long as your parents know what's going on, you won't get, hey, my kid's not earning any stripes. Can I put my membership on hold for 2 weeks till you start the new cycle? Right? And we don't do that, and we discourage it. And then when they see their child lead the class, they see their child. I mean, I can't tell you, I don't believe there's a single time when a child's not leading class, that parent does not have the cell phone out, unless they're not on the premises. It is one of those Disney moments. So we're very passionate about highlighting and spotlighting kids in all our classes on a regular basis. It's part of our culture. It's part of our systems. We train our team on it. But especially during belt testing, if my kid gets their belt by the end of week 2 and we still got 2 more weeks left in the month, I'm cool with it, because my kid's up there learning leadership skills. My kid's up there, being highlighted and spotlighted and earning a black belt badge. So we covered that one. Not an issue. Next question. Put it in there. Come on, let's get a dialogue going on this one, right? Get a dialogue. I know you got lots of questions. Let me know what you think. And then so right now at both locations, as I shared, we have baskets of belts. Remember, 750, 800 students. We got a lot of baskets of belts, but they're ready. They're ready to go. The only thing that can be a challenge is sometimes the kid's grown. So whatever their previous belt size was in age, which is in the system, you're guesstimating. So we do keep a small handful of belts on site. And if it's not there, the main office in San Francisco, we tell them, we'll get you a new size and we'll have it ready by you next week when someone brings it down. We go into Slack. We have a place where to post that. Please bring down these number of belts from San Francisco, because that has storage. It's the main hub. All the belts are there. We order them. They all go there. They wrap them with the certificates and prep them for both locations. Cool. Would kids repeat a cycle if they took too much time off? Yes, absolutely. That's a wonderful question. So let's say hypothetically, in a given cycle, in a year, you have 18 stripes, right? 6, 6, and 6, because we 4 months, 4 months, 4 months. I get these 6 stripes. During the summer, I take the whole summer off. I come back and get these 6 stripes. Well, I'm still missing these, am I not? I'm still missing these. So what we're discussing now, because this is a real rotating curriculum, is as long as they have 6 stripes on their belt, they test for their next belt. And they test for their next belt. That's the next thing we're looking at, because we will run into the challenge of, I got 1 through 6, I didn't get 7 through 12, I've got 13 through 18. So what's going to happen now, right? I come back and what? Get 1 through 6 again, right? Because I'll never get 7 through 12, right? That doesn't happen. So we're really passionate about teaching that curriculum, but what helps shores that up, if that doesn't happen and they move through the ranks, is during black belt prep, we cover all of that for a year. All of those stripes get covered for a year. All of them, all of them. So that's pretty powerful too. Because we have kids in our after school program that just earned belts before the summer, right? January, February, March, April. Now, follow me. So May and June, they were still there. So they have how many stripes on the belt? And then we went into the summer vacation. So when they come back, which is right around August, while we're in the middle of review, makeup, stripe, and belt testing, we will get the last 2 stripes they're missing, test them out, and they're back on the cycle. So that normally doesn't happen with us. But if it does, much like if you pull your kid out of school, right, and you take them on vacation, whose job is it to do the makeup schoolwork? You, as a parent. So we're trying to be very proactive with that. We have 15-minute virtual private lessons. Parents will schedule private lessons, and then if need be, we'll create a workshop. When I first did this and I didn't have it down, we had an 8 a.m. practice class for you to do makeup stripes. We had workshops at the end of every freaking month to do makeup stripes. So that's there. We don't do it anymore. We don't have to. The 15-minute virtual private takes care of it. We are much better at administering the curriculum, and we've gone through so many incarnations of the curriculum. It's not simply about memorization, right? And it's really about comprehension and learning. So we've whittled some of it down. We moved some of the katas into first degree black belt, and we've really set up our curriculum for the most part where it is more about disguising the repetition and making that experience better. Like Bruce Lee said, I don't fear a man that knows 10,000 kicks. I fear a man that's done one kick 10,000 times. So when I do see these systems with freaking 26 katas to black belt, is it necessary? If it preserves the legacy of your system and you believe with all your heart that that's what you want to do, so be it. Then find out a great way to create the Disney experience for the user, right? For the user to enjoy that. That's my thing. That's my thing. I fought for 20 years. What do we use in the ring? 3, 4 techniques. It really becomes about having the confidence to teach that technique at a higher level. And do know, psychologically and mentally, most people can comprehend 3 to 8 moves at a time. So when we teach curriculum during Learn Week, most of the time, it is no more than 3 to 8 moves. Now, when they get into year 3 and 4, yeah, we can definitely double and triple that number because it's fundamentally a variation of the theme, is it not? Do you have a front kick in the first kata of your system? Probably so. Do you have a front kick, in 4th year kata? Probably so. So some of the moves are very repetitive. So up by year 3 and year 4, they can definitely comprehend more curriculum. Cool? What's the question? I totally agree. Having the certificate printed looks so much better. Yep. And I think the big thing for my team, and this is where I'm challenged. I had that yesterday. I was teaching an excellent kids class, and they're 3 and 4 year olds, and it's they don't test. They just go through a cycle. And as long as they have 8 out of the 12 life skill stripes on their belt, we automatically promote them to their next belt. How do we know they're ready to be promoted? They are repeating a life skill. So yesterday we were on respect. A parent said to me, my son has the respect stripe on his belt. I said, awesome. That means they're ready to be promoted to their next belt. They got the new belt yesterday and they put the stripe on it. The challenge was the team did not print this one kid's certificate. And remember, we don't have front desk people in our schools. So for me to break away and get the certificate printed was challenging. Many times we're not hesitant to say, awesome, we'll take care of that next week. But the respect stripe he earned yesterday should go on the new belt. That was the only challenge, right? That was the only challenge. But if we need to say no, and so we can teach the class effectively. I'm so adamant when I see people walk off the floor during the class, and talk to somebody and those kind of things. Just makes me nuts. Makes me nuts, right? And that's a whole nother subject. But our front area is so tight. You know where to go when you walk through the door. The flyers are waiting for you, right? The handouts with the schedule and all that. There's not really any need for interaction. You take it, you scan it, you go into the system, you create a text, and we dialogue that way. And it's much more effective because we are teaching and we don't have front desk people. We don't. We have admin people. Hey, Master Raymond, what's happening, sir? So put your questions in there. Come on. This is probably not the most, but one of the most important because the core product we deliver in our school is administering curriculum and creating great martial artists, right? We do that with our system of martial arts and the videos and just the whole user experience. I'm very, very, very passionate on that. I can't believe how much money people will spend on Facebook ads, but how little they spend on curriculum development and developing their team. How many of you hold staff meetings for instructors training and you don't pay your team? Put it in there. How many of you do that? Come on, own it. Think about it. A lot of people don't. Anything I call that's a mandatory meeting, you're paid for. That's it. Because I remember back in the days of instructors training, it was always after classes, right? 7:30 to 9. I can't be there tonight. I got homework. My dog needs to go for a walk, which is all these excuses. But the minute we made it part of their job, it was scheduled as their hours. One, they understood. So they scheduled their life around that. These emergency meetings, whenever I feel like it, don't do that to your people. Have a set schedule, run that meeting, and they should be paid to be there. Yeah, good. I love it, Master Remo. Instructor meetings are clocked in for. Yeah, absolutely. You value their time. They're more present. They get that you value them. They'll contribute to that meeting and help become better at what they do. Cool. So now, I think for me, let me check this. Make sure we had today a camper. Didn't make it in time until we left for the park. Someone left a camper at the park and rec. Just dropped them off. Someone needs to go get them. They're asking if someone is coming to get the camper. Oh, man. So that means Sean didn't do it. Let's see. You guys are with me live? You're going to experience this. What happened was the parent didn't drop the camper off to us where our camp is in the park. They just dropped this poor kid off at the park and rec by themselves. Yeah, who does that? Who does that, right? But nonetheless, we're going to take great care of them and give them some love. Yeah, well, it's not damage control. The kid's safe. The kid's sitting safe in the park and rec, but of course, park and rec doesn't want to be responsible for him, right? And so it's not my department, but the park and rec knows my wife really well because we donate the cotton candy machine to all, like, movie night in the park. We'll donate that to the park and rec, right? So we do a lot with the park and rec. But that's not my department here. Hey, TJ, sir. One of our parents dropped off a camper in Millbrae at the park and rec. So they're waiting for one of our counselors to go get them. And I currently don't have access to the counselors. Can you connect and have one of our people go pick up this kid from the park and rec? Thank you, sir. And so, but we have protocol, and that's the challenge here. And the protocol is there's a Google phone number hanging there. And if they came to our front door, and they all have this Google number, give it to them when they sign up for camp. This parent should be calling the Google number. But they don't know that their kid wasn't picked up, right? They thought the park and rec at Millbrae was our camp. So they just dropped their kid off and left. Yeah, right. I mean, it is, it is. But it'll be fine, Karth, because my wife is in communication with them, and this kid is sitting with the park and rec people who have their own camps going on. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And I just alerted TJ, and let's see if he can take care of that. So the grading for me has to be this wonderful experience. And we used to try to hold these big mass, belt testings and things like that. And when I never thought it worked because one, it's very inconvenient. People's time is very precious. And to ask a kid to be there on a Saturday for a couple hours is nuts. It's just freaking nuts. And I remember I was speaking at a big graduation at a high school gym with it looked like maybe 600 parents and siblings in the stands, and then they were testing out. And they do this every 3 months. They do this kind of graduation. And I saw this dad sitting next to me. I was standing next to the bleachers waiting to get announced to run out and do my song and dance. And this dad sitting on the phone, he looked so agitated. He was whispering, but he was whispering very aggressively. And he was going, I don't know, man. All they did was get up and do a couple kicks. And we've been sitting here for an hour and a half. And I'm not sure what the heck's going on. Right. And what happened was this kid was a yellow belt. And you know how they do the graduations. Got to show the little black belt slideshow. And because the goal is to upgrade you next week, we're going to upgrade you to the black belt club. So you got to see the black belt experience. Right. Yeah, I also like my Saturdays too, Master Raymoy. And I saw that and I went, wow, that is not the Disney experience. This white belt who's getting a yellow belt is not invested in your culture yet. He doesn't want to sit there on a Saturday for freaking 2 hours to get a yellow belt. I think that's just not even in the ballpark. But I get it. I get it because you want to upgrade this white belt. You want him to see the black belt experience. Plus, you want an audience for your black belts. I get all of that. But do I think it's a huge miss? I do. I think it's a huge miss and one that I would encourage you to correct. Plus, you don't need to rent out a gym and all that. You simply don't. You don't. Especially in our case with no belt testing fees. And if you test in class, it gives us not the luxury, the efficiency would be a better word. It gives us the efficiency that comes along with trying to administer a grading process for close to 800 students. Cool? So put your questions in. Tell me what you got. Oh, I wonder if I can do it this way. Here's an example for me of systems that are not the norm, but what the team and I are going to do with this now is have a discussion. What is it that we could have done better to communicate to this parent that they should have used our Google phone number and reached out to the team and told them, I'm dropping off my kid right now. And the team would have seen it on their phones and been able to execute and administer that. So what is that process, right? What does that look like? I don't know. But we'll see what TJ says, and then I'm going to give you a solution. You know what I love about TJ? He's brilliant at those types of 1 + 1 = 2 things. I'm at the point in my life now personally where I just want to create stuff. I was talking to my sister, Letitia, she's here. I don't book a flight. I don't book a hotel. I don't deal with any of that type of stuff anymore. Letitia does all of it. So sometimes I'm really out of sync. I was filling out a form and talking to some people about life insurance, and then I was, moving one of my trading accounts, and I was like a freaking idiot because I don't do it, right? I don't do it anymore. So it wasn't so much that I am an idiot. It was my mindset isn't geared to filling out forms, isn't geared to sitting there talking to somebody in customer service, isn't geared towards that anymore. So thank God I have Letitia. Are you there, Tish? Are you there? Are you there? So what are your questions about the grading process? So that is why we're paperless. From the minute we start the cycle, learn week, earn week, awarding the stripe, all the way up to visibly being able to always know where that student is in the cycle, right? We communicate it. We even send emails. This month, we're on stripe 1 and 2. Here's the videos for level 1, the videos for level 2. It's even done that way. And it's conveniently located on videos in the app. So the parent can see it as well. And we put it in the newsletter. So they know this month we're on these stripes. Everybody knows this month is review, makeup stripes, and testing. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. So I think communication is another big part of that. It truly, truly is. Are you sending push notifications only? It's in the newsletter. It's announced in classes, and we do it as an email and a push notification, but we do it within the app. I mean, I don't think you should spend that money on texting. It's just not necessary. And some people get annoyed by that. I know texting is the number one way to communicate, and if they opt into the app, then they're totally cool with that. And I think for us, that's the huge difference, right? The huge difference is they're okay with that, right? Hey, can somebody walk the camper out to our group? Nobody's responding to the Google phone number, and I don't think Sean's on anymore. I'm going to involve my wife because she talks to the park and rec. And so, I love it because what I really witnessed for our team is that sense of empowerment. What I witnessed from the admin side, when they conveniently, as soon as this cycle is over, they'll go in there and update all the belt ranks for year one. And now with my studio, what do we have? Mass updates. And then we work backwards. And that's been really powerful because now nobody slips through the cracks because we'll have a basket full of belts that these people didn't get promoted. But you know what? When you're doing close to 800 students and you have a basket at each location with like 10 to 20 belts in it, those are freaking good percentages. Don't you agree? I think they're really good percentages. So, yeah, everything's in my studio, sir. All through my studio. And we do our e-newsletter through MailChimp. So it's also posted there, right? And then the push notifications in the app, it's announced in all the classes and it's displayed prominently in the school. There's a sign right there that says review and belt testing month. Right now, our white belts work at their own pace. We want to really create that relationship and to put them on a timeline. Learn week, earn week, learn week, earn week. They may not be their style of learning, so we don't want to put that kind of stress and pressure. So white belts work at their own pace. And we're very passionate about that. Now, the question comes up. What happens if a white belt earns his yellow belt as you start belt testing cycle? You can't throw that yellow belt into a year one class. They don't know any of the 6 stripes, do they? So they shouldn't be in that class. Where do they remain for a month? Well, we slow them down at that point. We keep them in the white belt class. They are the leader. They're learning to master what they've learned, as well as we're prepping them to go into the rotating curriculum that happens with level 1. But again, if you pre-frame it properly, the kids being highlighted and spotlighted, right? They're earning badges. The parents have no problem with it. None. But if you set up your culture where everything is simply, more stripes, more belt testing. Why? Because every 8 weeks, I need that revenue. So we do belts every 8 weeks instead of every 4 months. 8 weeks is ridiculous, but I get it. You're counting on that additional revenue, right? They're counting on that. So everything's about that. And that's where the term Black Belt Factory came from. It's simply about pushing them through the ranks because you don't want to fail somebody because then you don't get the money, right? You don't get the belt testing fee. I don't agree. I totally disagree, right? And we're coming in at $2 million this year. So obviously it's not impacting our business. If anything, this grading process plus the why behind it is really cultivating. See, because I don't want people to buy into what we do, right? I want them to believe in it. So if you really share, it's learn to earn, right? Other schools are going to charge you belt testing fees. We do not. You earn it. It really, from day one, creates this whole different mindset. And people get behind it and people believe in it because of that. Ricardo, professor, you do review and testing for a month. How does that look like in class? I'm assuming that the students are promoted every day during the month as they are ready. Absolutely. And then all that means is, get rid of dodgeball in the last 5-10 minutes to do that. They just called again and said he's been there for almost an hour. Okay. And want parents' contact if no one's getting him. Okay. All right. So now I must do this because TJ's not answering me. You guys are witnessing real time. Hey, Sifu, sir. How's it going? Did you get my text about the camper that's sitting in the park and rec? You see it? So long story short, I'm in the middle of a show. So I'm live at Facebook right now and StreamYard and YouTube. Somebody dropped their child off at the park and rec, not with our camp. They just dropped him off at the park and rec. So he's been sitting there for an hour and I can't get to the team in the park. I text Sean, but he must be gone. Oh, I missed him. Teach. Hey, did you see my text about the camper that was dropped off at the park and rec? Yeah. So can you contact the team in the park? Because I reached out to Sean and he's probably not there anymore. I'm sorry, sir. The kids didn't go to the park today? Ah, okay. Then we need to contact the parent and let them know. Their kid's been sitting there for an hour. And I'm in the middle of a show. So you and I are having this conversation to billions of people. But as soon as I'm done here, I can take care of it, sir. I'm done at 12. I know. Well, as soon as I'm done with the show, I'll swing by and grab the kid. Oh, yeah, wonderful. I don't have Mitchell's number offhand. Cool. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. See that? So I think the big thing whenever we have a challenge that we make sure to stay calm, we make sure not to play the blame game, and we make sure to be extremely proactive. What happened was two of our staff called in sick this morning. Okay. This parent, just because every day we go to the park, took their kid to the park and didn't bother to check to see if we were there in the park. We all wear red t-shirts. So they didn't check that. So this kid's been sitting there for an hour. But I'll let my wife know. One more. Hey, babe. So my show's done at 12. I can swing by and grab him. Nobody's in the park today because two of our staff called in sick. But Mitchell, who works the afternoon shift for One Martial Arts, is working in the park and rec today. So we're going to try to connect with him. Cool? Love you, babe. Have fun in Vegas. See how that works? And I think that's important because what happens for people is we want to blame somebody when mistakes are made. And for me, I believe it's more important to live in the solution because if we use energy that created the problem to solve it, we're always going to fail, folks. We're always going to fail. So for us, it's really important not to do that. So fortunately, this kid is safe. He's at the park and rec. Had the parent dropped him off, probably they've never dropped him off at the park. So they just assumed the park and rec was us. See, there you go. All done. Sean is going to go. I believe Sean is grabbing him. Good. So it's taken care of. And we're really good about that. When a parent needs to vent, we don't take it personally. As I share all the time, it's not about being right because the ego wants to be right. It really is about getting it right. And if you have that type of relationships with your families, guess what? Even though they're in a state of emotion, right? My kid was left at the park. No, they weren't. You dropped them off at the park and rec. Gratefully, Mitchell, who works in our camp in the afternoon, was there. So we took care of him. He was safe in the park and rec until we were able to pick him up. And we'll add in that two of our people got sick, so we didn't feel safe going out to the park today. So we kept them at One Martial Arts. Now, her comment will probably be, well, shouldn't you have notified us on that? Well, in this case, it was a last minute thing of them calling in sick, right? And we didn't know that you were going to bring your child to the park. So it'll all be good. Yeah. And it's never you versus me. I think that's, again, Master Raymore. And I know this is a little off subject, but we've covered everything in the grading process, unless you have a question. That is one of the reasons why we call our school one. We are one people, right? And that was very important for me. I didn't want to call it Beliso Karate School like my father's school, because then it became centered around my ego and me and what I do. It's all about the purpose. We're one people, right? And I think when we have those type of conversations, everybody's ready to step up and be accountable, right? In this case, Sean, wherever he's at, he's doubling back to go pick up this kid, which is beautiful. I'm ready to go pick up the kid when the show's over. TJ's doing what he can. My wife's in Vegas and she's reaching out. But you see that? Everybody's cool with it. Everybody's trying to work to make stuff happen. And I think culturally for us, that is so freaking powerful. And I've really learned that because, I'm a very emotional guy. And often when things don't go the way they should, I'm freaked out. You're going to sue me. I'm going to be liable. You're going to sue me. But if I really think about it, my companies are set up as S corps and stuff. Nobody can sue me personally, right? So I've really learned that. And the level 5 leader that I aspire to become has to be calm. That's number one. They talk about that. And if you read Jim Collins' book about level 5 leaders and good to great, he really discusses that one, you need to be calm. Two, you don't want to be sarcastic or freaked out or blame people, right? Because it's irrelevant. You want to live in the solution. So by being proactive at all times is huge. The team was all freaked out. It's so funny. I went to San Francisco to fix a couple of fans because it needed to be done. And our handyman's really busy, our contractor. And the team was so freaked out because I'm never there. I'm never there in San Francisco. And they were just overwhelmed that I was there. So I realized it's up to me to dispel the myth. That's the big thing. You have to be the first. And I went and got them some pastry and I brought them in and they were still even hesitant to take the pastries that I brought them. Right. And I could see that. So that's on me. Because the thing I learned as a level 5 leader for me, post the book, please. What book? Common Relationships. Good to Great by Jim Collins, Master Raymore. Good to Great by Jim Collins. They talk a lot about that level 5 leader in that book. And that's what we want to aspire to become. Cool? So any last minute questions? We're going to wrap up the show. I want to start, first of all, by inviting you. Come out to It's Time Life Balance, November 11th through 14th. It will be the best investment that you could ever make. It really is, because I think it's a very holistic approach to business. I mean, look at me. Do I look stressed out? So I've really cultivated the mindset. I've worked on the personal development. It's a constant. It never ends. Someone asked me, when do you stop developing? It's every freaking day. I look this way, and I'm going to say at 61, I think I look good for my age. Maybe that's just me and wishful thinking. But at It's Time Life Balance, it's really a holistic approach to everything. And the 4 days you spend with me and the other 19 attendees will change your life. It will change your life. So whether it's a good day or a bad day or an indifferent day, you will find a way to be happy and balanced and live optimally. And I think the people we're bringing for that event are phenomenal. I work with Sam I have for several years now, and I just endorsed him because I wanted to make sure everything I did with Sam made sense. And I have the highest net worth I ever have in my whole life. And Sam is an integral part of that. He'll be there on the Tuesday via Zoom, only for 3 hours, only for the attendees. Nobody else gets that. Right? And then I'm bringing in Dave Kovar. Everybody knows Dave Kovar. He will do the training portion. I'm good at what I do. He's better than me. And I'm going to say that. I'm not afraid to say that. I work constantly. I love curriculum design. I love classroom development. But Dave Kovar is like that, right? Like that. I'll handle all the business on Sunday after owning a bunch of businesses. I own 4 or 5 right now. I understand what it takes. I'm a 3rd generational small business owner. I've seen the shortcomings. I've made the mistakes, but I've also cultivated healthier ways to create businesses that work for me versus me working for it. I've been able to take that money and generate it into my highest net worth to date. So people often say, well, you don't own, 20 schools. I don't want 20 schools. I made more money in the past couple of days than some people make in a whole month. So I'm very proud of that. And that's the path I chose. And that's why I choose to work with Sam on 127 students, multimillionaire. There's not one way to be successful. But do you have the vision to do that? Do you have the courage to do that? Do you have the why behind it? And that's why I believe you need to come to It's Time Life Balance. Put the link in there, Marco. Yep, put it on there, please. I can't wait. This event is a staple on my calendar every year. It is. It is for me too. And that's when I know I'm doing good work. When I learn while I'm facilitating, that's when I know it's good work. If it drains me, you ask everybody, they think I'm nuts. I'm like the last person who wants to leave. I want to keep talking and working. And the 4 days are just like a whirlwind. And we're up and we're meditating and we're walking and we're working and we're journaling. And 2024 is going to have its challenges. You just saw that Fitch downgraded, our credit thing, or our, I don't know, from AAA to AA, and it's hurt the economy. And they're still singing we're going to be thrown into recession. So it's going to be even more unique. And if you were with me during the pandemic, I pivoted, and I'm going to say it, I led the way. For many school owners were coming to me to understand how to do virtual, and we pivoted our way through that. Marco was making video games. We came up with a way of grading people online. It was just very cool. And in a way, it was very magical. I remember when virtual was ending, because Millbrae looked like a movie studio. We had 8 or 9 stations. And I said, you know what? I'm really going to miss this time. Because we would sit there together, huddled up, figuring it out. And we were, isolated, right, because of the pandemic. But we were there. Thermometer readings every day, masks, figuring this thing out, scared of the unknown. But as a team, as one, we got through that. And it had its magic. It really did. It was magical in many, many ways. And so that's what I think is the beauty of culture, the beauty of living from purpose, the beauty of living from a purpose greater than your own selfish needs, is when you go through times like a pandemic or a potential recession or a mortgage crisis or 9/11 or the dot-com bust or whatever, you really band together. And that's what culture does. When people don't buy into what you do, when they believe in what you do, everything changes. So come to It's Time Life Balance, okay? Get signed up today. Thank you to my sponsors. Again, people I love, that I care for greatly, that are doing very innovative, unique work based upon the purpose of bettering our industry. To Sam, Market Muscles, my studio, Kids Love Life Skills, and LC Accounting. LC Accounting. So I want to thank everybody. Maybe Roy, I would love to have you aboard. Think about how strategically you would serve the small martial arts school owner and what is it that they need. One of the things we've talked about is like maybe a supplement to disability insurance, right? Because if most martial arts school owners get sick or hurt and they can't work, they're going to lose their business, right? What supplements are out there that make a lot of sense for us? That's one of them for sure. And of course, retirement is a whole nother conversation. Cool. All right, folks. Thank you, Marco, for holding down the ship, making everything happen on the back end with all our cool graphics and stuff. Make sure you watch this, share this with as many people as you can. Look for the podcast Success Never Sleeps, as well as Mindful Meditations. You can catch this rebroadcast at YouTube. And of course, it floats around here at Facebook Live. All right. I am Brannon Beliso. This is Success Never Sleeps. Until we talk again, please, 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 you go out there, live your best life.